Hello and welcome to everyone to this review of Bangladesh versus Afghanistan. One of the complaints and feedbacks that we have received not only from those who watch us regularly, but also from my fellow panelists is that sometimes when I am speaking, others don't get a chance to speak. So today we are trying something else, something different. I'd be the one hosting, and I'd be asking questions to Somesh and Nikhil, and they could probably return the favor, not let me talk at all. And I'm sure if that happens, it's not going to bring down the quality of the show because these two people are as good as you can get when it comes to talking about cricket. uh, we all know how Nikhil is literally crazy, and Sumesh these days, on our WhatsApp chat, he's been bringing up a lot of numbers, so he's also pretty much involved. And we've already seen whenever he's dissing a player on our videos, that player makes it a point to return the favor. So I'll go to Sumesh first. And Yeah, Sumesh, your first thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I mean, pretty one-sided. It's game like these which are making ODIs even tough to watch now that we are used to so much of T20 cricket. Having said that, I expected better from Afghanistan on the bowling and the fielding front in the first innings. That is what I think they allowed the game to drift beyond their reach in the first innings in itself. And I don't want to just give out the entire bit in one answer itself. But yeah, I mean,
Of course, you're
while
not me.
but yeah, while chasing, yeah, I mean, I never really looked a point where they were in the game, to be honest.
Nikhil, coming to you, you are someone who's watched both of these sides quite regularly. What do you make of this game? Where do you think you know uh, Bangladesh completely left Afghanistan behind in the game, and just were way too ahead, and were always dominating? Where do you think they really got ahead of Afghanistan?
I think the first power play in the series that was there between these two sides, it was Fazalak Farooqi who did a lot of damage up top. But today I felt he was way off the mark, very wide to Mohammad Naib Sheikh, and that just allowed him to get going. And we talked about Mehdi Hassan Miraz opening the batting and how well and how secure he looked up top. And the plan was very clear that he has to just stay there, put the bad balls away, and let others bat around him. And that's what he did to perfection. And when you have something like that happening, you need the other side to just spot it quickly. I think Afghanistan left way too long to spot that. And the summary is there right in front of you, which tells us how the game was effectively set up with the big partnership up top between Mehdi Hassan Miraz and Nazmul Hussain Shanta, who's again backed up his good knock in the previous game with a very good century. So, and once they both of them got to century, we knew that it is not going to be easy for Afghanistan to chase this down.
Now, Nikhil, asking this to you because you're someone who's seen Mehdi Hassan Miraz a lot. Where do you rate him amongst the all rounders in world cricket right now? Do you think that he's amongst the top two, top three all rounders in world cricket right now? Because I believe he has scored 100 even while coming in at number 8, and his bowling is always useful. And today he opened and scored 100 once again, and he's someone who's always there in and thereabouts. Today also got the key wicket of Najibullah Zadran. So where do you rate him as an all-rounder in ODI cricket across the world?
See, I think it's difficult to say in terms of whether he's in top five in that sense, but I feel he's very handy contributor when his role is very well defined and in conditions that are even remotely suitable to his style of play, both in bat and ball, he's very good. They've tried opening with him in the shorter format, it did not work out. But whenever they've given him chance to bat higher up the order, he's done well. And he always looks someone, even when you see him in the test format, he looks apart in terms of he can get you some handy runs without looking very risky or very wanting to slog in that sense. So he has a good defense, which we saw that and which we've seen in the past. So I think in terms of the upcoming times, the World Cup that's there in Asian conditions, he's somebody that Bangladesh can use far better as they showed today. And he has an average of above 40, I think, in the recent times with the bat in this format. So he's just getting better and better, and he's very disciplined. So that is also something that works in his favor. That he which we saw that in the India series as well. when India played Bangladesh, he's not somebody who gives you a lot of loose balls. So he's always putting you under pressure. And again, it's just a hallmark of being a very good all-rounder that when you get something in your favor, you make the most of it.
Now, before we move on to discuss about Afghanistan's innings, Somesh, I want to come to you and ask: do you think Afghanistan could have done anything different with the ball in terms of their bowling plans or just the way they bowled? Because at one point of time, it looked like that batting was very easy for the pair of Shanto and Mehdi Hassan. It looked like that they were scoring runs at will, and they were under no trouble at all.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, they didn't start too well with the ball. That was there for. I mean, there were two five wides in the first 2 overs. Then I personally felt that Nabi and Rashid were a little too delayed. That allowed both Shanto and Mehdi Hassan to sort of be set. At that point of time, they were bowling with Karim Jannat and Gulbadin Naib, and somehow it just didn't feel a very planned move. They removed Karim Jannat after just 1 over, and I think the biggest turning point, to so to speak, of the entire game, in my opinion, was the second spell of Faruqi, because that is where the wheels really came off Afghanistan. Because we have discussed this in the preview as well, that uh, I mean, Afghanistan's spin attack is sorted, but it's their pace attack which sort of lacks weight. And we were thinking that at least Faruqi is a is a lock. Of course, he's a lock, but he's also a lock in terms of a player who we feel will do good. But once he let the team down with his second spell, that is where there was no hiding for them. And then they had to go back and bowl Naib at the death as well to cover up for those overs. So I think Faruqi's second spell for me is the point where the game really changed. Because up till then, I felt that a wicket is flat. It's okay. Bangladesh might end up scoring around 270, but that is still chaseable. But that particular spell ensured that they scored well in excess of 300.
Yeah, you're rightly mentioning that because it's very rare for someone like Faruqi to not complete his quota of overs.
Hmm.
Gulbadin Nair bowled more overs than him. He only bowled six, and Kareem Jannat was far more economical than him. In fact, he turned out to be the most expensive bowler. Now, moving on to the Afghanistan inning, Somesh, you had a lot to talk about. You were sending a lot of messages on how they were approaching it. So, do you think that at any point of time, do you think Afghanistan were approaching their batting with the mindset that they wanted to chase this total down, or do you think they just wanted to bat 50 overs?
I think at some point in time, I would really like to hear from Nikhil about Ibrahim Zadran, because he actually played a very good knock. And I mean, I'm knock that proved to be no inconsequential for his side. But I mean, as I just no gave out on the group as well. Now Rahmat Shah, so he scored 33 of 57, out of which there were 5 fours. So that means of the remaining 52 balls, he scored only 13 runs. And I distinctly remember, even after the 15th over mark, when he was well set, having faced 30 plus balls, he was sort of dead batting, not even trying to rotate strike. I mean, his career strike rate in ODIs is around 70, his list strike rate is 74. And I just felt a team who's going to appear in a World Cup, which is just a 10-team tournament. I mean, is he the right player that to represent that side? To be honest, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just didn't feel right to me. It is taking the game itself for granted, sort of a feeling, because it was essentially watching a player having a net session in a important game for his side. So it somehow didn't feel well to me. After that, it was just a little too much for everyone to sort of pull together. The skipper Hashmatullah Shahide did try, although his career strike rate is even lower than Rahmat Shah. So, but he stepped up, but it was a bridge too far. And then Najibullah Zadran never really got going. His feet did not move at all. And even with a little bit of heroics from Rashid, it was always a bridge too far.
Nikhil, your thoughts on Afghanistan's batting innings, and I also want you to answer: is there someone who can replace Rahmat Shah, because he got dropped in the Pakistan ODI series as well, but Afghanistan went back to him probably because of his experience. What do you think could be the way forward for Afghanistan in terms of the construction of their batting order?
Well, firstly, I don't think it is as easy as getting players in. We've seen that with Afghanistan. Their squads and the preferences of players changes very, very quickly across formats. Again, every team does that. So I think the logic for getting Rahmat in is always that he's somebody who's played in big situations. And the problem with Afghanistan has been people who are able to spend time. But just spending time at the wicket is not your. It cannot be your only rule, because there is a guy at the other end in Ibrahim Zadran who's looking so compact, who's looking at ease, rotating strike. There are issues that will bother him. Teams will find a way out to keep him quiet, but that is your job now. If you are Ahmed Shah, it should be inspiring to see a guy like Ibrahim Zatan, because then that he will take pressure off you, and that's what he was doing while the time he was out there in the middle, batting at us. When Rahmat Shah got out, Ibrahim was 43 or 43. You cannot have a guy batting at a better rate than that in the chase, even if it is like that, because their strength is they have a lot of hitters down the order who can find the gaps, who can find the fence. And even at the end, you saw Rashid Mujib is also improved on his batting, but you have Jannat, Naib, and Rashid who can throw their bats around, and they can get probably 80 of the last 10 if they want to, or pushing it to 85, 90. But for that, you need to set it up a base and not leave them chasing 130 or in excess of 12 in the last 10 overs. So I think that's where they often get it wrong in terms of the right tempo. As Somesh also said, Hazmatullah started slow, but he found a way to pick it up. And that is how you want to see your seniors step up, because they've been around the system for a while. So, because nothing is going to change in that order, I think they both will play. And Najibullah's form is, as Somesh said, it's a very odd time to get out of form. A World Cup year, it's the time when you know you are somebody who can hit spin and you can clear the ground with your power. So you need those kind of players in their best form. So that's where I feel they'll have to help each other out. And yeah, I think we discussed about the dependency on Gurbaz and Ibrahim, and that's what it eventually came down to. That you needed one of them to really bat deep, probably 35, 40 overs.
Yeah. Before we move on to discuss about what could be the next strategy for Afghanistan going into the game versus Sri Lanka, want to know from both of you, what would you think was the turning point of the game? If you could, point to
Yeah,
one turning
I,
point,
I,
would you
I, I've,
say?
I've already given mine. Maybe we can hear from Nikhil. Yeah, to
I think it
reiterate,
is.
mine was
Yeah.
Faruqi's second spell. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the best. I think it's very hard to make it as a particular point, because I think they never allowed themselves to get back. I mean, Bangladesh never allowed Afghanistan to get back in the game. Be it not going after, and it's very smart. They never went after Rashid Khan because they know they don't have to. There are other bowlers, there are options that they can go after. And where I feel sometimes we've discussed this in the past. Captains need to attack more. And here also there is a special mention that yes, by attacking, I'm not saying you use Rashid Khan at that point of time when you know they will not attack you. Then you have to use your pairings better so that you are able to get maybe a Fazalak. If he had a tough first spell, okay, but get him on quicker, or then use your Karam Janat bowled one over then went off. It's not helping your side out in that sense. So I think post that first 10 overs, and once Faruqi came back, I don't think they were anyways getting them back in the game. It was always a one-way traffic.
It's funny that you said that they didn't really attack Rashid, but they still managed to get 66 runs off his 10
Yeah, but
overs.
that is, yeah. So that is
Yeah.
after the in the last, because then they had set, and then you had everybody else going after him, which is eventually, and Rashid has gone for runs. But like we discussed just a while back, he needs support from the other end. So without that, you will find Rashid also easier to hit.
Now, if you look at the net run rate right now, Bangladesh's net run rate is still below Sri Lanka's. So they will still have to wait for the result of the next game between Afghanistan and Sri Lanka, which is a must win for Afghanistan. Uh, do you think Afghanistan can beat Sri Lanka, or at this point of time, it looks really unlikely?
Firstly, we should congratulate each other because we said that Bangladesh will win this game and not Afghanistan. So yes, now answer Somesh.
नहीं उस मैच में तो मैंने भी श्रीलंका ही पिक किया था आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ अस आर ऑन द सेम बोर्ड अनलेस यू पिक्ड आज का तो ऑफ कोर्स आई गॉट इट रॉन्ग बिकॉज़ like
No,
I
in
said
that game,
I picked with my heart not with my mind so yeah
in that game I picked Afghanistan, but yeah, it could come wrong at this point of time. But anyway, but yeah, uh, do you think, is there any chance for Afghanistan to beat Sri Lanka? Can they catch Sri Lanka at a point where Sri Lanka are vulnerable?
I think the issue with that game is venue, because if I'm not mistaken, that game is again in Lahore, and if the wicket is going to be this flat, I don't think Afghanistan has enough batting to trump Sri Lanka in that
You
particular
know,
game. That's
it
just my
is
take. Yeah.
so particular that you both have given the same reason, that
Yeah.
in the preview Gurkirat gave the exact reason of the venue to back Afghanistan, and now it's the venue only that is not helping Afghanistan versus Sri Lanka. It's just funny
मैंने वो
how.
प्रिडिक्शन के टाइम पर वेन्यूज तो देखा ही नहीं था कि कौन सा गेम किस वेन्यू पे, अभी
No,
देखते
I
देखते
did.
समझ में आ रहा है
So
कि
my
बाप रे ये भी तो
reasoning
फैक्टर
is
है.
my reasoning is that Afghanistan will find it easier to bat in Lahore. But given how I did not expect Fazalak Faruqi to have such a bad game, or Rashid to get milked so easily, or even Mujib going for more than a run per over. So my reasoning was that they'll be able to manage somehow. Like on this, if they bat first, they are capable of posting a total of around 270. I feel on a pitch like this.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think the potential is always there in terms of what they can do. The thing that has stopped them quite often is the conversion from that good position to a very good position. So at this point in today, so they never got into such stage. But to do that against Sri Lanka, I think they'll firstly have to maybe bowl first again like today, but take those early wickets, because versus Sri Lanka also, batting it hasn't been that easy for them as a side. So maybe that, I think, for me the best chance is to chase a small score, because if they are to bat first, then by no other option they'll need hundreds from Ibrahim and Gurbaz, and then one of them will have to score 160 also, so that they get to a 300 plus total, which they can then defend very well. But for that also they'll need the top two to really fire once again.
Sumesh, your thoughts? I don't know if you said anything because I got disconnected in between. So
No, I mean, I already shared my thoughts initially that they are going to find it tough because, I mean, this is a flat wicket, right? So asking the openers to score 160, it's not going to happen every day, right? So probability suggests that Afghanistan are going to find it difficult. Even without looking at the venue, I thought against Sri Lanka it might be difficult. Against Bangladesh, still possible. That is why I chose them in this game. So yeah, I mean, after this game, it would be a pretty deflating. It is a pretty deflating sort of a defeat.
now, before we end the show, there's one more scenario which is left to talk about, and that is if Bangladesh make it to the Super Fours, which looks like a possibility. Uh, do you think they're well equipped to challenge the other three teams that will qualify? Do you think they can, win two games if out of the three? Do you think they can challenge India, Pakistan, and probably Sri Lanka? Because their pace attack has been doing decently in recent times.
Sri Lanka, yes. Other two, I mean, the point is, if I say no chance, then definitely they're going to win two.
Yeah, that has become a thing on our shows right now.
Yeah.
So we say something
So इसीलिए मैं अभी
and
conservatively बोलूंगा कि maybe Bangladesh Sri Lanka in the Super Four is going to be a close game. Others, maybe, you never know. I mean, uh, Bangladesh is suddenly becoming this unpredictable side. I mean, jokes apart, against India and Pakistan, it would be an upset. Sri Lanka, not so much.
Nikhil, do
Yeah, I
you
think.
share the same thoughts?
See, I think the problem with them is the wicket taking of Shakib and Mehdi. Because even if you compare to them in terms of options, they have an informed pace attack. Shoriful took. We discussed about left arm pace versus Afghanistan. He ended up with 3 wickets. Taskin Ahmed has been taking wickets. Hassan Ahmed is decent, can control. In spin, if Shakib and Mehdi strike, then they actually have a better rounded attack as compared to both the other teams. Now, here there has to be context that India may or may not be without Bumrah, but the unit also is playing together for the first time in terms of Shami, Siraj, Shardul, or Prasid, whoever plays in that scenario. So it's not that they'll outbowl each other, but it will not be that they'll not have a chance. So I think there will be a chance, but all of that chance will come down to the wicket taking of the spin department, because that's where Pakistan struggled against India. Uh, that's where even today you saw only one wicket to Mehdi, and I don't think any other spinner took a wicket. In terms of Shakib didn't take a wicket.
Hmm.
So that's where I think the challenge will be, because India have Kuldeep, but otherwise also you feel Jadeja is still more defensive in terms of he'll take you one, but he's not running through sides as of now. So I think there will be scope, but again it will depend on conditions on the newer venues when we get there.
Hmm. In fact, Shakib was one of the easier bowlers to score off today.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, it is surprising that given the first two games you thought spin will do more, but in the last two games spinners haven't done much in terms of what's expected of them.
Yeah, but I think the second innings have gone along expected lines where there has been movement for the fast bowlers.
Possible. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Guys, what about Shanto? And since I've dissed him, he and I did not know. I did not diss him, but I just felt Avnish is like sort of, what is the word? Overrating him. So, but then since then, it in all likelihood it looks like that he will be the leading run getter after this group stage. I mean, what do you guys think?
I
I
mean,
just feel he's played pace really well. His strike
yeah.
rate against pace in the both games has been in excess of 100. In the last
Yeah.
game, he took care of Patirana pretty well. Today also the Afghan pacers did well. Nikhil?
Yeah, even today when you saw him play, he looked very flamboyant to begin with. I think in terms of the freedom and the clarity of mind that okay, this is my role, and I have no problem playing it very well. And I think that, of course, it stems from the fact that you've had runs to come along, but also the situation and conditions were good enough for him to take that call, which we saw in the first game. He was far more circumspect, got himself in, and then is when he started to play his shots. But today, I think he was at ease right from ball one. And again, it's just a sign that it's a good sign for Bangladesh that you had newer heroes, because the hero that I wanted to do well so well came in at three, and I felt like wow, this is a great move. But then Gulbuddin Naib doing Gulbuddin Naib things. So maybe there are runs for Tawhid as well somewhere down the line. Let's see.
Okay, so now we move to the last segment of the show wherein we'll take some questions from the viewers. Pranav Anand, as always, is there, omnipresent on all of our shows and coming up with good observations and good questions. So he's asking how come Shoriful was getting it to swing after 35 overs? Was it reverse?
I don't think it was reverse as such, because I think it maybe contrasting is what you also would want to call it, something like that. So, and he's been doing this before as well. It's not the first time that he's got the ball to move. Taskin also got the ball to move, and as Umesh said, it is something that we've seen in these conditions that the ball has done a bit of the same as well. So I'm actually not sure if it was reverse, because conditions weren't such to allow the ball to reverse.
Yeah, and I mean even 35 overs means it's just a 17 over
17.
old ball.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
not that surprised. It didn't seem reverse. It was a
yeah,
proper traditional swing.
yeah.
Pranav's asking another question, or it's rather a comment. He says, Kudos to Bangladesh for promoting Mehdi to open. I don't know how many teams would do that. I felt Afghanistan could have promoted Rashid after 4-5 down. He could have injected momentum, and Nabi and co would have anchored. We have seen, he continues, we have seen how even best of bowlers lose their head when someone from lower order comes up, and Rashid even bats unconventionally. There was not much he could have done when they needed 120 odd of 10 overs. Guys, do you think that was a possibility?
Yeah, I think it is a very, it's not a wrong way to look about it, in terms of you save Najibullah for the last 10 with, say, an assurance of two all rounders in Naib and Jannat, and you use Rashida. But the problem with that is, whenever Rashid also does that, he does it for a smaller period of time. So he's throwing his bat around because he knows the game is so far ahead. But will he bat the same way when he's batting in the middle overs? Maybe yes, maybe not. Maybe what the one way to also look at it is, there is an extra fielder in there. Maybe he's someone who could hit those gaps and get you those boundaries. But then that is the same logic that you can use for any of the all-rounders that bat higher up the order. So today they definitely misused Karim Janat is what I felt in terms of him with the bat, because he's done that in the past in the leagues that he plays around. But the problem with that is when you have the top order that is taking so much time, eventually then you're always playing kind of catch up. If you're not playing catch up, then it is easier also for the players to execute their shots and not feel too much under pressure. Ke bhai, the rate is already touched 11. And then in the T20I, in the last 10, you can expect 10 11 with a lot of batting left. But in an ODI, it is a far different scenario to go at 11th for over 20 period of over 20 overs.
Fair enough. I don't think we have any more questions left with regards to the game. There is one question asking about the World Cup tickets. I don't know if if it's something that anyone can do anything about. It's just, and
So
I believe Somesh had said something on this in the last show that we did.
no, so in the tweet that we have put out that we are reviewing the show, we have received only one comment, and that comment says 0% interested. So we know the general interest about this game, but yeah, I think we still sort of hung around for 100 overs to see what comes out of it.
Okay. So I think what's left to now discuss or talk about is to tell our viewers that tomorrow we'll be doing a preview show, a mid-inning show, and a review show as India play in Nepal. It's an important game for India. If India lose, they could go out of the competition. Some viewers who are watching might laugh at me saying that if India might lose, but the truth is it's a very uncertain sport. Anything can happen, and you cannot take any opposition lightly. Just one news that is there is that India will not have Bumrah tomorrow. Who do you expect to replace him? Mohammad Shami, straight swap, or any chance of Prasidh Krishna coming in?
I think it's gonna be Shami.
Yeah, definitely looks like Shami for now. Baki, they want to try Prasidh, they can. There is no harm in doing it. They could possibly drop Shardul Thakur and play more pacers at in that spot. So maybe that could be a way to go.
All right. I think now's the time that we bid goodbye to all those who are watching, and thank them for showing patience as well, because like Somesh said that there wasn't much interest left for viewers in the game, but still there are some crazy people who will always turn up for any kind of cricket, and we'd always like to thank them. Yeah, my net went away, and I was like, so Mish might have to end. But yes, thank you so much to all those who tuned in. Please do tune in tomorrow. There's also a Monday night live that will happen, and the agenda for that you'll find out probably in the first half of the day. It's also been a very insightful discussion featuring Nikhil, Akshay, and Avnish. So do tune into that, and so there are basically 4 videos for you guys to watch
Yep.
watch out for, and we look forward to your questions as always. And thank you so much for joining today. Thank you so much, Sumesh, and thank you, Nikhil. I hope you guys were happy returning the favor to me.
Chalta hai.
Absolutely.
We keep trying.
Okay then.
Cheers.
Goodbye to all of you. Good night. Look forward to a cracker of a game tomorrow.